Have you always wanted to know what supplier inclusion and diversity is all about? Well, Supplier Inclusion and Diversity is a proactive business program that aims to engage suppliers that are at least 51% owned, managed, and controlled by women, minorities, LGBT+ people, individuals with disabilities, or other underrepresented groups. Supplier Inclusion and Diversity creates positive social and economic impact by enabling diverse businesses to be competitive leaders in the marketplace. By creating access for diverse businesses that are often overlooked in favor of established supplier relationships, Bayer supports the growth of diverse companies while improving its ability to advance industry-leading health and agricultural solutions. So, how does Bayer benefit from the Supplier Inclusion and Diversity program? Embedding inclusion and diversity into Bayer's supply chain places Bayer on a path to greater success. By playing an active role in providing diverse suppliers equal access to doing business with Bayer, Bayer increases competition amongst suppliers and broadens its supplier solutions. Supplier diversification is a low-risk, cost-effective way to generate new ideas. As Bayer's markets expand, it can identify world-class, diverse suppliers that are competitive in quality, service, and price. Their entrepreneurial approaches bring value through the innovative solutions they provide. There is a perception that diverse suppliers are small and are not cost competitive. It is true that there are small diverse suppliers, just as there are small non-diverse suppliers. There are also diverse suppliers that are doing business with Fortune 100 companies successfully for many years. The key is to find the supplier that fits with Bayer, and many diverse suppliers can fill that need. Wondering if diverse supplier categories differ by country? Underrepresented groups are defined differently around the world. At Bayer, we track the business we do with women-owned companies globally and track additional diversity categories in some countries. Bayer partners with non-governmental organizations or NGOs that certify diverse suppliers, ensuring that they are at least 51% owned, managed, and controlled by the designated classification. Through our partnership with these global and regional organizations, Bayer also gains access to diverse supplier databases, benchmarking, networking, and the opportunity to better understand the diverse businesses who are potential Bayer suppliers. Enhancing our partnerships with these NGOs provides Bayer the opportunity to grow our supplier inclusion and diversity efforts and strengthens the Bayer brand as we show the external world how we empower and leverage diverse suppliers. So, how does supplier inclusion and diversity impact the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals? Bayer recognizes that its employees and supply base should reflect the diversity of its customer base and foster an environment where differences are valued and celebrated. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, or the SDGs on which Bayer is focusing, are 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 13, and 15. But Bayer's Supplier Inclusion and Diversity program also supports additional SDGs. Bayer's commitment to economic development through its Supplier Inclusion and Diversity program is one of the ways in which it supports its mission, Health for All, Hunger for None. Overall, Supplier Inclusion and Diversity is embedded in Bayer's global inclusion and diversity efforts. Bayer's inclusion and diversity strategy focuses on 4 strategic pillars: culture, talent, business, and brand. Supplier Inclusion and Diversity falls under the business pillar, focused on institutionalizing the use of diverse perspectives and applying an inclusive lens to every business decision. Creating access for underrepresented populations, customers, communities, and suppliers is inherent in Bayer's vision: health for all, hunger for none. As a world-class company competing successfully on a global scale, Bayer strives to have a supplier base that reflects the diversity of an ever-changing marketplace and the customers Bayer serves. We all have a hand in making Bayer a more inclusive company for all. Your small actions can have a big impact for diverse companies and Bayer. Let's work together to advocate for inclusion and diversity at Bayer and within Bayer's supply chain.